economy, endorsed by the Regional Development Council as Calabarzon's Center for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Environment Research, and Center for Technology Business Incubation and Development. Home to the South Luzon Hub for Technopreneurship and Innovation, breeding ground of innovators, technopreneurs, startups, and knowledge creators that provide engineering and technology solutions to social problems. A knowledge-based institution that forwards innovation programs resulting to the development of new products and technologies that satisfy customer requirements and respond to the needs of the industry and the general society. All of these put Batangas State University at a prime position to expand its mandates and become a key national player in knowledge creation and innovation. This is concretized by the establishment of the Knowledge, Innovation, and Science Technology Park. On May 22, 2020, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte signed Proclamation number 947, designating the Bat State UKIST Park as a special economic zone. This makes it the first PAASE-registered KIST park in the country. As an IT park co-located in a thriving university, the Bat State UKIST Park is a prime destination for locator companies and tech startups to foster dynamic collaboration among universities, multinational companies, and government agencies. PAASE-registered enterprises will benefit from the high-value intellectual capital and physical resources of Batangas State University, including tax holidays and other non-fiscal benefits from operating within this newest ecozone in the country. It is located at the heart of Calabarzon, the second largest economic region in the Philippines that hosts a variety of emerging industries. The Bat State UKIST Park facilities will include Technology Hub, Design and Innovation Building, Information Technology Centrum, Data Center, Convention Center, and a KIST Hotel. Its accessibility, buoyed by the booming Batangas economy and the warm hospitality of the Batangueños, make it an ideal home to business locators and enterprises. The facilities in the newly constructed 5-story Bat State U Science, Technology, Engineering, and Environment Research Hub are already available for locators. The research centers and the locator spaces in the Steer Hub synergize a collaborative working environment for knowledge sharing among researchers, startups, and industry locators. These include Manufacturing Research Center, Electronics Research Center, ICT Research Center, Alternative Energy Research Center, and the Center for Technopreneurship and Innovation. As a technology business incubator, the Center for Technopreneurship and Innovation hosts challenge labs, ideation and incubation programs, design thinking workshops, hackathons, business model pitching competitions, and other technovation activities that will jumpstart innovative products and technology solutions.
Back in the Philippines, Alvin.
Good morning, good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's good today. Our weather is a little better.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yes.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'd like to start our fireside chat today. I'd like to request everyone to please mute yourselves, except for the speakers. Okay, because we'd like to be able to hear our speakers well. So thank you very much for your consideration. I'm Giselle Concepcion. I'm co-hosting this with my distinguished co-host, Alvin Colaba, whom I will introduce later. But let me tell you that this initiative is strongly supported by our president of PAASE, Mario Santo Domingo, and our vice president and president-elect, Gladys Completo. And that's because PAASE is for Philippine innovation. And well, I'm happy to let you know that our speaker today is an executive member of the National Innovation Council, as I am. I was nominated by the PAASE for the scientific community, but our speaker today is representing the academic community, and he's a very, very accomplished person. And I'm very proud to have him as our second speaker in this series. Last week, we had our inaugural event with a very distinguished speaker, none other than the Director General of the Philippine Space Agency, a high-ranking official of our government and an outstanding alumnus of the UP College of Engineering EEE. So today, I'd like to tell you about what I think might be so important in our country. And I'd like you to send the word, spread the word to everybody who's interested in innovation, which I believe is one of the driving forces or an engine for social economic growth in our country. If we don't innovate, we will evaporate, okay? And cause so much extreme conditions, just like, global warming is causing climate change, severe weather conditions. So at this point, without much further ado, I'd like to introduce once again my distinguished co-host, who is my, you might say, my idol. He is the symbol of energy in our PAASE and as well as in our NAST, where he's serving as current vice president of the NAST. He is a distinguished professor of mechanical engineering and university fellow, an energy scientist and technologist, pioneer of life cycle assessment in the Philippines, reviewer and monitor of the PICARI and STRIDE projects, past president of the NRCP, past president of this organization, and well, as I said, high-ranking official, former EVP of the prestigious university, De La Salle University, to me, a research oriented university. So I would like now to introduce and give the floor to Dr. Alvin Culaba, who will then introduce our speaker for today. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, Professor Emeritus Academician Gisela Concepcion. We're here again on our second edition of our PAASE for Philippine Innovation Fireside chat series. This morning, we are actually privileged to have one of the most dynamic leader in the academic community. Perhaps one of the leading engineering, individual who's really pushing for innovation across the different universities in the country. Not only at the university that he serves now as the university president of the Batangas State University. He made this university the National Engineering University by virtue of the various innovative programs and innovations that the university has actually done. And our speaker has pioneered the outcome-based education in their university and spearheaded its international accreditation of its programs under the terms of the Washington Accord. He's also the president of the Philippine Association of State Universities and Colleges. And of course, as Giselle has already mentioned, he is our Academe sector representative to the National Innovation Council as actually appointed by the President of the Republic of the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have to elaborate more about this person. We have, let's welcome here, Dr. Tirso A. Ronquillo. Tirso is going to speak on engineering a feasible innovation ecosystem in the Philippine state universities and colleges. It's our pleasure again and honor to have Dr. Tirso Ronquillo as our speaker today. Tirso.
Thank you, Professor Alvin Culaba, our friend. First, I would like to take this opportunity to thank PAASE for giving us the opportunity to share what we have done at Batangas State University and in SUCs in the country today with regards to innovation. To PAASE President, Dr. Marisol Domingo, and of course to the very energetic Dr. Giselle Concepcion, my partner in NIC, executive member also of Innovation Council, to all of us for giving us the time this morning to share with us these thoughts and insights on innovation. So I would like to share with you a bit of experience that we had in state universities and colleges, and some examples or some cases at Batangas State University. I purposely titled my presentation as Engineering Feasible Innovation Ecosystem in Philippine SUCs. I will tell you a little later why I term my presentation this way. So I will be sharing some challenges, some strategies, of course, to combat these challenges, and some opportunities towards the end. Now, in the first slide, I would like to give you the glimpse of this presentation shortly. I will make this very quick. A glimpse of global innovation landscape, the Philippine innovation ecosystem, and then the platform for innovating SUCs for Industry 4.0, our project in PASOK and the challenges and strategies, innovation in engineering education, pioneering the key spark development, and then the batch stage innovation journey, and then opportunities. In the next slide, here we have a macroscopic view of innovation. The Global Innovation Index, or GII, ranks world economies according to their innovation capabilities, consisting of roughly 80 indicators grouped into innovation inputs and outputs. The GII aims to capture the multi-dimensional facets of innovation. Now, Philippines performs better in innovation outputs than innovation inputs in 2022. This year, Philippines ranks only 76th in innovation inputs, lower than both 2021 and 2020. As for innovation outputs, Philippines ranks 51st. This position is lower than both in 2021 and 2020. So more must be done to increase this. In the next slide, how the Philippines perform. The Philippines lead by 8 notches in the Global Innovation Index, which measure a country's tech advancement among others, from 2021 to 2022, ending up with a rank of 59 out of 132 countries. Now, Philippines ranks 5th among the 36 lower middle income group economies and 11 among the 17th in Southeast Asia, East Asia, and Oceania. Despite falling in the global ranking this year, the WIPO highlighted that the Philippines continues to lead in key innovation indicators. The GII reports stated that the country holds the 2nd position worldwide in high-tech exports. In the next slide, here we have a graph. The bevel chart on the left shows the relationship between income levels, that is GDP per capita, and the innovation performance, the GII scores. The trend line gives an indication of the expected innovation performance according to the income level. Economies appearing above the trend line are performing better than expected, and those below are performing below expectations. Relative to GDP, Philippines' performance is above expectation for its level of development. The other chart on the right shows the relationship between innovation inputs and innovation outputs. Economies above the line are effectively translating costly innovation investments into more and higher quality outputs. Philippines produces more innovation outputs relative to its level of innovation investment. So still, there is hope for Philippines. But as I have mentioned, more must be done. In the next slide, that is on the Philippine innovation ecosystem, if you have captured during the earlier presentation, there was a video about the National Innovation Council established in 2019 under the Philippine Innovation Act, the country's highest policy advisory body and primary coordinating entity for fostering innovation initiatives in the country. So as composition, we have 23-member policy advisory body in the Philippines. And out of 25 member rather, there are 16 department secretaries and 17 executive members, and the president chaired it and vice chaired by NEDA. So this is multi-sectoral. Our representation in NIC, as introduced, myself represent the Academe, Professor Giselle represents the scientific community. There are others representing the business sector, and the council is expected to come up with policy on sustaining, making innovation ecosystem in the Philippines sustainable. So I think this is a good message that to catch up really for this ranking on innovation. I think the Philippines is well positioned because of its structural strength on this respect. In the next slide, on the Philippine startup ecosystem, other agencies has their innovation initiatives, such as the Department of Science and Technology, which already supported 54 technology business incubators located in different higher education institutions across the country, which incubated 1,364 startups. These startups have generated 5,144 jobs and 766,000 or 766 million rather, revenues. The TBI, the Technology Business Incubators, have received 162 million fund support and have received 1.78 billion of private investments. In these programs of these concerned government agencies, this also benefited us in state universities and colleges. Some of our SUCs also have their own TBIs and supported even by some private organizations. And we're happy to see that our SUCs are now doing well in terms of running, facilitating this TBI. In the next slide, I should share with you that I think in 2018, Philippine Association of State Universities and Colleges launched its platform for innovating SUCs for Industry 4.0. This is what we call PC. The PC has 4 strands: innovation diagnostic of state universities and colleges. The first part, the first phase of this PASI is checking on some innovation hindrances, that really make our SUCs not that active in innovation in terms of infrastructure, in terms of capability of our faculty, in terms even on programs. What really is lacking? We have determined that already. That's the first part of our PASI. And then innovation capital. We all believe that our SUCs faculty, students, and even administrators, we call them innovation capital. And we have innovation capital development program for them. Next is on inclusive innovation partnership and collaboration. We are now advocating for more collaboration. We are clustering our SUCs where some of them can focus on agriculture applied or combined with those SUCs whose strength are on ICT. So we are sorting our SUCs now, which we started since 2018. Inclusive innovation ecosystem. This is building this innovation ecosystem among SUCs by establishing more TBIs, developing SUC-based technology parks, and integrating technopreneurship in curriculum, redesigning programs of direct contribution to inclusive and sustainable development, and complement innovation efforts of government. So these things we are now espousing and seriously doing in our state university and college as well. On curriculum, a number of our SUCs already revised our curriculum really to include technopreneurship. In the next slide, challenges in setting up an innovation program. Well, there's a lot of challenges, and here I just have presented some. Of course, we always cry for allocation of resources, availability of budget, both internal to universities and external, that's from government or even private sectors. Bureaucracy, there is also concerns or issues on bureaucracies that we should really carve out so that we can speedily build innovation ecosystem in our SUCs. This culture, faculty, staff, and student buy-in, interdisciplinary collaboration. Many of us are still working on silos, and I think these are the things that we are trying to address now in SUC's innovation ecosystem development. Competing priorities. There's a lot of priorities in our system. Some are prioritizing maybe teaching, some may be prioritizing consultancy, and they are doing those things on their own. So we have really to have programs to address these competing priorities and include this innovation as priority by way of looking for some or giving them some opportunities also. Intellectual property and commercialization and sustainability. We also have to ensure that innovation in our SUCs are sustainable, that this must not be a one-time program. So these are some of the challenges. So next slide. Strategies in setting up innovation program. Generally, I coined these strategies as P++ strategy. This includes people, program, policy, place of place, So people, as I have mentioned earlier, the challenges really is on how to make our people actively participating. So there must be a program on developing people, even on preparing on hardcore science and technology faculty, so that they can really participate in deep tech innovation. Program, there has to be a program in the university. If there's a necessity really to revise the curriculum and even to establish TBI in our universities, these are good strategies. We have to have a center for Batangas State University. We established the center called Center for Technopreneurship and Innovation. But if that center alone, that will not live longer. There must be a support to curriculum. So our students who are enrolled in technopreneurship programs are being facilitated by this TBI or this CTI, Center for Technopreneurship and Innovation, really to incubate the ideas of students. Policy, there has to be policy on how to incentivize even faculty and students. Peso, there has to be fund. And as for our case, for Batangas State University, we really sought the approval of the board to allocate our internal funds for to support our local startups, and we made it possible. Place, when I mean place, it's environment. We have to place. We have to have environment. We have to build infrastructure. So generally, this is the short strategies or quick strategies in setting up innovation ecosystem, which I will be sharing later in our Q&A. Next slide. Innovations in engineering education, just to share with you, currently we have more than 60,000 students in 11 campuses. And of the programs, of that enrollment, 43% of them are on engineering and technology. We have more than 100 program offerings, but 46 of them are focused on engineering, both graduate and undergraduate. We have we are catering to students not only from the Batangas province and even Calabarzon. We're catering to students coming from over 50 provinces in the entire country. Next slide. These are the program offerings that we have in engineering. Recently, we offered emerging programs, including biomedical engineering, aerospace engineering, automotive engineering, energy engineering, among others. And we are happy and proud to say that a number of our programs, we got 8 of our engineering programs ABET accredited, and also even our IT program and our computing science program are are all on ABET accreditation. Next slide. We established even the Center for Innovation in Engineering Education to support the needs of our growing engineering programs. Basically, that is the center that will implement the National Engineering Education Program. As Batangas State University was mandated by law as the National Engineering University, recently our Board of Regents approved the National Engineering Education Program. That is a 6 project component program that will really help address the engineering needs of the country in terms of faculty development, in terms of collaborative research, in terms of increasing the level of accreditation, among others. So in the next slide, these are just some of the engineering research and innovation that we had at Batangas State University and currently doing. We have the Center for Technology, Engineering, and Environment Research Hub, or STEER Hub, which is designated by Regional Development Council as the regional center for science, technology, and engineering research. That center houses that hub houses a number of research center. Center for Technopreneurship and Innovations, Electronic Systems Research Center, GIS Applications Development Center, Digital Transformation Center, Material Science and Testing Research Center, and Manufacturing Research Center. We opened these centers to all researchers, not only in Calabarzon, but all the researchers in the entire country, as in our mandate. We also have the so-called Adaptive Capacity Building and Technology Innovation for Occupational Health and Natural Disaster Center, the so-called Action Center. This center is the disaster mitigation center of the university, with partnership with our local DRM, province, city, and regional DRM offices. And this facility is being extended to these LGU partners during emergencies. Next slide. Into programs, our board, through our proposal, approved the President's Medal of Innovation Award. This award gives really recognition to anyone in the university, whether you're a student, whether you're a faculty, employee, or even administrators. If you can really produce or develop any innovation, whether it's a process, whether it is product, whether it is technology, then there will be a medal to be given and a cash award of 200 peso. We also have recently launched our Young Leaders for Innovation and Future Thinkers. So this is Young Leaders program. The program is simply those students who are on their senior years, those belonging to top 5%, they can apply for this grant in the university, and they will be assured, they will be directed by the people in the research department, they will be grouped, and they will be given funding or support, and that will be credited to their capstone design or their thesis subject. So recently, I think this is during pandemic or even before the pandemic, Batangas State University was able to have this program we call Bridges Program, Building Research and Innovation Development Goals for Engineering Schools. So this is actually a 6-component program which we were able to enjoin around 40 state universities and colleges doing research on different areas that will solve the problems in the industry and in the community, focusing on SDGs. So we have 6 programs for that. We are happy to share with you that our students, engineering students really, participated in many engineering and innovations competitions all over the world. In last year, 2022, our group of chemical engineering students, they call them all-girl chemical engineering students group, who won first place in the UNESCO World Engineering Hackathon. So they were able to produce a solution on water quality, and I'm happy that they were able to bag the championship award for this innovation competition. Another is the one that we recently got in Singapore. Singapore always annually hosts the Engineering Innovation Challenge. And it was in November 2022 that Batangas State University team, our Electronics and Communications Engineering students team, bagged the first place. The solutions, the AI solutions for aquaponics. So we are the first place, and NUS, second place, then Nanyang Technological University, third place. So these are the pride of our university, our students really. And then we have some programs, we have some product rather. We're developing this a number of products for commercialization. I don't know if you heard Buko Pie. Maybe Buko Pie is some sort of pasalubong for you, but Buko Pie for us is a technology solution. This is a Batstatio customizable open platform for Internet of Everything. So this one is a multi-purpose board, which we are now preparing to teach even high school students in STEM. So this one we will be rolling out soon, this Buko Pie project of Batangas State University. So other is on Parallax Engineering Simulation System using haptics and mixed reality. Atlantis, another solution that we have. This is IoT-based artificial intelligence aquaponic control and monitoring systems for aquaponic greenhouse. And also we have ongoing project. This is on tourism applications. The Mr. Tour Guide mixed reality solution for tourism, a cultural adaptive mapping platform using mixed reality. Batangas State University Center for Technopreneurship Innovation was able to facilitate 108 startups. And in so doing, we were able to partner with 52 partner individual and even institutional. We have 26 million investment received, and our Lake Hapab Lab, we were able to reach 150 plus active clients and connect to 35 partners. And we have some grants received in, I think, last 2 years, 16 million. We have engaged 120 startups in different programs of the university, because our technopreneurship is a mandated program. It's a mandated course for all engineering and technology students. In their curriculum, it is included. And our CTI facilitated really the deployment of facilitators in their technopreneurship classes, and they are the ones developing and honing these startups and giving supports. These startups are ushered to our internal resources and also being channeled to our external partners for additional resources. We are happy that Batangas State University is now in the list of top 100 global innovative universities in the world by the World University Ranking for Innovation. And we were also able to gain recognition in the Times Higher Education Impact Rankings. We were in the 601st to 80th bracket, and hopefully we will do better in the next round. Next slide. As you may know, Batangas State University is pioneering our technology park, and we are now on the continuous development of this technology park. We started developing this, I think, since 4 years ago. And we now have a transition facility, our steer hub, where we host some locators already. But as we fully develop this, we are intending to get more locators. Next slide. On opportunities, this may be my last slide. Now, as I always say, our state universities and colleges are at a different stage of development, different levels of development. Some of us really, a number of us are maybe advanced, but a number of us really need support. And we always say that this innovation program, there are opportunities that can be enjoyed by these SUCs. We are saying that this innovation program can enhance our education, even on science and technology and engineering, and even other related or allied disciplines. Now, we were able to support the growth of the economy by developing more entrepreneurs and startups. We can get more industry collaborations as we develop our innovation programs. And this will yield to intellectual property development. So meaning to say, as we mature in our innovation program, these opportunities will be coming. Then cross-disciplinary collaboration, global engagement, talent development, community engagement, and of course, most importantly, continuous improvement. Because innovation that will yield to product will always be validated by customers. We all believe that by this validation, we will be improving continuously our quality. I think as for my sharing, these are the things that we are doing, we are facing, and we are planning to do in the next years in our SUCs. I am now prepared to answer some of your questions.
Thank you very much, President Tirso. And at this point, before starting our interview by Alvin and myself. First, I'd like to welcome and recognize the presence of the following by protocol: National Scientist Lourdes Cruz, members of the National Academy of Science and Technology. I see academician Asuncion Raimundo. I'd like to well, acknowledge the presence of the PAASE chair, Felino Ino Lansigan. And then I'm happy to recognize our participants from SUCs like Eastern Visayas State University, and then private universities like TIP, Technological Institute of the Philippines, and University of the East. And I would like to also recognize the presence of high-ranking members of the UP ERDFI, UP Engineering R&D Foundation Incorporated, Executive Director Tito Aliga, and high-ranking member Lito Bermudo, who is also from industry. We just had a meeting with them last week with our engineering consultant from Kaohsiung, Taiwan. I'd like to also recognize the presence of Ben Pexon, who leads the agriculture group. Thank you so much. In particular, Edna Ko, who the former head of CPAL, UP system official. And it's important because she's a policy expert. And well, of course, they're all my friends. So thank you so much, President Tirso, for this very insightful and you might say inspirational sharing about BATSU. Let me tell everybody we were there. The executive members were hosted by President Tirso in August. And we were simply, amazed by the physical infrastructure. The architect is none other than Palafox, leading Philippine but internationally recognized architect. So the planning is excellent. It's aesthetically very pleasing and insightful. But then it was really President Tirso and Vice President Albert's son, Amante, who is here with us today, who showed us around and told us about, I would say, the outputs, not just the inputs of BATSU, as summarized by President Tirso today, including their war room. We were brought to their war room on DRRM. So they're really trying to level up to the international standards for doing research and extension work, to be a partner of the government as far as DRRM is concerned. And as we already know, they have all of these innovative R&Ds, meaning R&D and one more step, enough so we can present them as innovation projects. And they already have the competitions that we are planning together in the National Innovation Council. So the executive members are having a meeting this afternoon on the agenda of the next NIC Council meeting in October. And one of our proposals is to conduct or to run innovation competitions regionally and nationally. And merong premyo. Okay, so that's just one of the exciting things that we are trying to do in the NIC. The private sector EMs are pushing this. We have limited capabilities at this point, but let's see, with your support from our stakeholders, me in particular from PAASE, also Tirso, and the newly appointed EM, who is Rex Victor Cruz, we hope that we can move forward together. So let me now go to my question. My first question, President Tirso, is the issue on, well, our great potential that is indicated by the graph that you showed, which is part of the NIASD, the National Innovation Agenda and Strategy document that will be launched officially on September 27. And it's telling us that looks like relative to our innovative output, our GDP is low. To say the least, it shows us great potential, but it also tells us that the impact on our livelihood, our MSMEs, is quite low in terms of the GDP. So it's a vicious cycle. You have a low income, yet you innovate. That means you are efficient, you are creative, but then we have to step up the level of innovation, and that is the purpose of this meeting. Because President Tirso, we know during the PAASE conference that you hosted last August at the SMX, where we were guests, our speaker after the executive members was Dan La Chica of the semicon industry. And he admitted, and this is for everyone who is linked to semicon, to batteries, to energy, etc., the technology sector of this group. We know that the level of innovation of our semicon is still low. So we are second highest in say semicon or in other exports because of volume, na medyo related pa rin yan sa labor natin. Now, but then Dan La Chica admitted that our semicon is mostly assembly and packaging, and that is why he is trying to get TESDA to offer higher level technology courses, training for upskilling of our semicon. And this is something that holds true for the other related fields of innovation, translating to commercialization. So my first question actually, Tirso, is how do you think that BATSU and other state universities and colleges and private higher education institutions can help, for example, in leveling up, upskilling our workforce to the higher level innovation in semicon and other industries?
Thank you, Dr. Shell, for your question and your introduction of the concern. In my strategy, the P++ strategy, really, people is the first one to be developed. We know the problems of the industry. Some of us may know on the surface, some of us may know deeper the problems or the concerns or the needs of the industry where our SUCs or HCI can participate. People, we really need to train our people on this deep technology, engineering, science, and technology. Well, some of us or a number of us can be grouped together. They must be called together so that we can start. We must hit the ground running. Meron tayong mga qualified in SUCs or even partnering with private HEIs that they may start. As shared by Dr. Dan La Chica, yes, steel electronics is one of the high growth sector or industry. Our SUCs now are getting membership with SAPI. They call it SAPI affiliates. And they are being supported by SAPI. This is simply a case in point. That is just one example. To increase the level of development of our engineering SUCs or HCIs offering electronics on design. So they are being introduced to softwares where students can use in simulation, and they even offer trainings for faculty. I think these are the initial steps where our students and even faculty can participate. Well, there are others. There are other fields where our faculty, our students can participate. This is simply, let's say, even on health, even on disaster management. There are a number of projects in our SUCs and HCIs, which I think must be further shaped up so that this can really be commercialized or really respond to the needs of the industry. I think the things that we are doing now, we have to have more of this. We have to have involvement of private sectors. even in our curriculum or program design, in outcomes-based education that we're espousing, every program that we have in the university has the so-called Industry Advisory Council, Industry Advisory Committee, that really help the university in shaping up their curriculum and in updating even the content. So this participation, sometimes they called it Program Advisory Council. Those, in our case, it's a 5-man council, a 5-man committee involved with industry practitioners, alumni, and then private sectors. So these are simple start where we can really know what are needed in the industry. That's all for now, Giselle.
Oh, maraming salamat, Tirso. And I think that you could lead in modeling how we can directly link with industry. You did not talk enough about KIST here, our First Knowledge Institute S&T Park, which is PAASE certified. This is your first part, but there you're having locators already and growing them, and you can really establish this technopreneurship program of yours so that malaki talaga yung time that is spent by your students in industry, and you could explore what you call contract research, di ba? And meron pang isang modelo ngayon na fina-follow rin sa UP na you let the industry start up the company, and then that startup can now start to contract some of our faculty on a limited practice of the profession mode. And I would like to call the attention of our UP ERDFI leaders here na it's already happening in the UP College of Engineering. Anyway, I think that at this point, I would have to recognize the presence also of somebody very special. This is Romy Solis, whom I have been always alerting about our talks. He's a former AST director, also ranking member of the UP ERDFI, Triple E, and he is actually the mentor of our last speaker, Joel Marciano, at the ASTI. And he is going to be one of our speakers because he runs Tanza Robotics School, where he's training children to do robotics, creativity leading to robotics in Tanza. So at this point, I think we just need to get extract more ideas from President Tirso, so that whatever he does in Batsu can be replicated or iterated or adapted by our SUCs and our HEIs, and we move together to try to create this critical mass of R&D, mentors, researchers, leading to innovations that would be attractive to industry, para hindi lang tayo aasa sa mga innovations that originate from the private sector, local and foreign. As we know, maraming nangyayari niya ngayon. Dapat matap natin, mapakita natin na within our academic and scientific community, we have these high-value innovators that are driving up our GII, even as our GDP is still very low. Kaya meron tayong parang good ROI or efficiency. Okay, so at this point, I will turn over the interview to my co-host, Dr. Alvin Colaba. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Giselle. Thank you, Tirso. Very impressive. I think one of the important elements of the innovation ecosystem is our infrastructure, and I think it is there. It was described, and you have shown it in your presentation. But Tirso, what good is our infra if we cannot keep our talent? The government has already invested a lot, no, in training our faculty, people, masters, PhD. So, Tirso, in our SUCs, this is my experience around the country. How can we retain now the talent? Because if you mentioned about talent development, that's fine. We've been doing that. We are a product of that. But even more important issue is, how do we keep the talent? We might lose them easily. Singapore, you top the competition there. Maybe they will just take your students. They're far better than their own students. So our now effort is, how do we keep our talent? How do we keep the innovation ecosystem a closed loop system, so that what we produce in the SUCs, in our higher education institutions, will have a place, somewhere, in the industry. Is our industry ready based on your experience? Are our startups enough to absorb the training of people? In my experience, Tirso, many of our PhD students have no place in our industry, in our SUCs. Walang mga position, that are available to them. So where will we place them? So I think the next issue that we have to address is to be able to sustain innovation. We will have to keep these people, and keeping them not only for the next 3 to 5 years, but to keep them, but never. I don't really mind, if these people will go out of the country, as long as they are still within the ecosystem loop of the Philippine innovation, so they can still engage with us. But my question here, so how do we keep our talent? How do we incentivize them? How do we, if our teachers its priority is to teach, how can they put their time into, development of technology, doing research and development? So I'm sure you are the best person to answer this, because you had the past. Thank you, Tirso.
Okay, thank you, Doc Alvin. I think this must be somehow addressed, both macro and micro. On a micro level, on our level, in the university level, as we propose, there must be enabling policy. Just a case in point. The challenge of faculty is, if they will do their own startup, how they will be treated by the university. Many are leaving because they have their own startup now, which is, I think, better if they will be staying in the university. Now, as you mentioned, whether they leave the university is still there in the Philippines. Now, to keep them in the university, recently, for our spin-off, for our faculty would like to be spin-off or startup, we got the approval of our board by way of allowing this faculty member to be on leave, let's say, for a year and produce their own startup. There must be some deliverables. Of course, if they do it on their own, they have to show that they were able to produce this after a year, and they are considered paid in the university. They are even provided with a space in the university. They can use that, because after all, the spillover is the country. If they will be having their own company years after that startup period, then that's fine for the university. So these are some of the incentives that we are now providing for our faculty. Well, I'm not saying all of the faculty will get this, but at least we have provided this opportunity that they are still connected with the university. Let's say for a year or two, they can do their own startup. They are, I should shortly term it, live with pay, and provided, but before they leave, they should be able to have their proposal and approved by a committee. And as I have mentioned, they can even use a space in the university while in that year-long leave. Now, going back to the macro, I don't know really if on the national level, there are also opportunities or even incentives available, which we cannot answer simply now. Good that we have Innovation Council. I think that is one of the things that we can address in the National Innovation Council to provide for an opportunity, not only a one-time funding, no, for an institution or for an organization. So I think the university must be doing something, but the national level must also be providing something. I think parang bibingka approach ito, Doc Alvin. Sunog sa taas, sunog sa baba.
Thank you, Tirso. I think we have to start reading some of the questions on the chat box.
Yeah, this is one. I got this. I got this. How can we effectively formulate a university-based policy that's centered in innovation and entrepreneurship? Can you suggest some policies? Okay, one. As I started in the university in 2014 as president, I started years back, I was the dean of the College of Engineering. When I was the dean, I introduced entrepreneurship as an elective course. I opened to them, any program, any department can take this as an elective. Well, a number of departments took it as elective course, entrepreneurship. Now, but not all of them. In 2014, as I assumed presidency, I made it a part of curriculum. It's mandated program. It's a mandated course. There must be entrepreneurship in the senior years. Now, but that is only entrepreneurship as a course. Now, what about the students who would like to enroll? What opportunities? Even I sought the board approval in providing port support. There is the so-called startup PAASE. I think we provided for 50,000 per group or per student. It may be a group or it may be a student. It depends on the project. We also provide support that is board approved, 250,000 for every startup project on acceleration phase. We are providing that. And recently, ang isang challenge is yung mga bata gagawa nito, hindi makredit kung sila seriously engaging in startup. Hindi makredit sa kanilang thesis. So, ipinakredit na namin. I made a policy that this Young Lifters program, as I introduced, that will be credited as a grade. No, the research personnel will be having close communication, or there is a system of communication to the teachers of research, to the instructor of research, and that will serve as grade. May monitoring form kami, and many students are now interested. Kasi yung batang papasok dito, before, pera nila yung ginagamit sa capstone nila or thesis nila. If they have identified good projects, the university can even give fund or support and even mentored by our university researchers inside, and that will serve them the grade. That's one of the policy that we are introducing here. Not to mention, of course, the policy, meron pa tayo dyan mga yun bang policy ng publication support, yung iba dyan napapublicize lang, napapublish lang, but that is the usual that we have. But I'm now talking about the commercialization. So those are just some of the sharing.
Okay. Can we call on Benigno Pegson? You have a question in the chat box. You may simply, ask that question to Dr. Ronquillo.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
We have a lot of kulelat tayo in our region compared to surrounding countries in terms of agricultural exports. Kasi ang problema natin, mostly what we export are commodities, raw materials like copra. I'm glad that you have a Buko Pie project. I hope you have it in very good packaging and long expiry dating period. What I want to know is, are there any other project you had in mind to convert yung coconut into higher value processed products? Kulang na kulang tayo doon. And yet we're number 1, number 2 in the world in number of coconuts. But we're using it for copra. That's centuries old technology. Kailangan nating better way of using coconut. Have any ideas?
Alam nyo, Sir Pexo, Bata pa ako, yung problema ngayon, narinig ko na yan, mga desiccated coconut, aalis dito, pagbalik dito, yung iba is, ano ba yan, naging tsokolate na, flavor na lang yung ating coconut, no? Yung mga white chocolate, and things like that. Well, there are many byproducts of coconut, which I think our researchers, no, in SUCs or in the DA can explore. As of now, wala pa akong masabi sa iyo kung anong magandang gawin niyo sa mga coconut na yan. No? But I am sure that that is a good piece of R&D challenge. What can be done? Kasi raw mats aalis sa atin. Pagbalik dito, produkto, bibili natin ng mataas na halaga. So that is not only true for coconut, no? Even for cacao and other things. That is Filipino problem. We sell raw mats, pagdating dito, masarap na tsokolate and even more. Now, as of now, I just share with you your observation, but I can even endorse your question to our researchers to find, no, some possible byproducts of good products out of coconut. And as I mentioned, many other products, hindi lang po coconut.
Well, Alvin, if I may, before we continue to read the other comments and questions, no? Ang kailangan talaga natin, kasi engineering ang forte ng BATSU at andito rin po ang TIP at ang UP Engineering, Los Baños and Diliman. Ang kailangan natin talaga mechanization, equipment to process our agricultural crops, not just for food, but also for other materials, high-value materials. For other high-value materials, andyan na po yung AMSEN, yung 3D manufacturing equipment na sinet up sa DOST. Ang lead natin dyan yung ating PAASE members, si Government Advincula. Pero marami pang iba. Kasi sa lahat ng bansa, from China to Taiwan, to Thailand, to Vietnam, for agricultural crops, Ben, ang ginagawa nila is para seasonless, hindi sensitive to season. Yung mga pinoproduce at a certain season, may paraan na ma-preserve yan. Hindi lang ipinupulbo, pwede rin naman ipulbo, pero at least ma-preserve yung kanyang kulay, yung kanyang physical appearance, not perfectly as frozen or as fresh, but also in dried form. Yan yung matagal ko nang sinasabi, dapat i-build ng UP Engineering, both in Los Baños and Diliman. Ngayon, ang Lasal, nag-uumpisa na yan. So, yun po yung critical sa akin, pagka sa agrikultura. Ben. Ayun po. Anyways, Alvin, ituloy mo.
Yeah.
Mainit na or
can I say something, Giselle? Giselle, can I say something? Parang ang labanan, we just need better packaging. Kailangan packaging maganda, and we have long expiry dating period na it's doable. It's not that difficult, yung longer expiry dating period and yung packaging. There's a branch ng DOST which is involved in packaging. But this is a project na hopefully it can yield results relatively quickly. Your students might be, they might find this project very attractive. Kasi I think it can be done relatively quickly. And we need to have the technology to create higher value products. Look, Singapore doesn't even produce anything, but they do this all the time. They convert, they import things, and they export them at higher value products. What do we need to be able to follow the footsteps of Singapore and Thailand particularly? Yung patis nga ng Thailand, better than ours eh.
Ben, freeze dryers. Kailangan natin ng freeze dryers and for higher value cryogenic na ang drying ngayon, no? Low temperature so you can evaporate the water para noon hindi nasisira yung produkto, pati yung nutrients noon. Simple as that. Ang tagal ko nang sinasabi po yan.
And maybe Giselle, to add to that, you know, we are worrying a lot of things downstairs, but we don't know what's happening upstairs. The question is Singapore. What about the leadership as a country of Singapore, the governance of Singapore? That's a big question. To me, I heard some discussion, you know, and in the macroscopic scale, iba ang pinag-uusapan sa taas at iba nangyayari sa taas. Ang ating pinag-uusapan agriculture, but we don't know. These are That's my take.
Okay.
Ngayon, ang isang usapan, bakit hindi ganun kadami ang nagiging entice ngayon sa agriculture as a course? No matter how we make it sexy, still students are going into IT. Into what? The question, what opportunities are we giving to our graduates of agriculture? Mas mura ang bumili ng bigas outside. Paano po kaya tuturuan magsaka ng R&D, produce something here that to me is affected by the bigger picture? That's how I see things in this respect. Thank you.
Totoo po lahat yan, Tirso. Kaya tayo, kahit papano, we will try our very best in EMs with support from our stakeholders. Pero ito po yung aking gusto rin gawin. Hindi tayo makapasok sa Department of Agriculture Secretary. Pero meron po tayong medyo malapit sa ating lahat, yung DTI Secretary, na kinukumbida ko po na magsalita dito. Para noon, dun sa startup grant, o yung tinatawag nating way to commercialize our products, kahit merong risks dyan, alam natin yan, hand in hand with the DOS technologies, ma-feature natin yung mga ready na for mass production. Yun naman, Ben, ang problema natin. Pwedeng meron na tayong magandang products, meron ng packaging, pero hindi meet yung tons and tons na ni-require ng mga importers, yung mga foreign countries na ma-provide natin. Pag pumunta tayo sa ibang bansa, sa mga tindahan nila, ando na mga produkto ng Vietnam at ang Thailand. Ano yung produkto ng Pilipinas? Siguro isa lang, baka Goldilocks lang, o kung hindi, ewan ko, isa lang yung nakikita ko eh. Kaya wala tayong massive production of these agricultural products. Anyway,
good idea to bring Fred Pascual.
Yes. We will do whatever we can, no? Hopefully November or December. Para agad, he does not lose touch with the local scientific community. Kasi ngayon, lahat ang nakikita natin, sige, investment from abroad. Paano naman yung ating interest, no? Okay? So, magiging mga lang tayo, labor force tayo. Okay rin naman yon in the absence right now of local investors. Pinagpa-partner po yung mga foreign and local investors, yung mga big industries. Natural naman yon na mga MSMEs natin eventually sana mag-partner o mabenta sa mga bigger industries. It happens all the time in other countries. Anyway, Alvin, tuloy natin yung ating mga questions.
Before we get to Tito, before sa'yo, let's hear from another university. We have Tet Rio from URS. I think this University Rizal system. Tet, are you there? Tet? Okay. Let's hear from Tito Namuna, no? I think you have some thoughts here. Maybe you want to raise to Tirso. Go ahead, Tito.
Thank you very much, Alvin, Giselle, Tirso. Thank you again. We first met, 11 years ago. That was a stroke of luck on my part, and we have worked together ever since. Actually, I have 3 points here that I would like to talk about. Number one is, let us try to make upstairs irrelevant. And you have a proof of concept. Okay, you have been working with all of these supposed limitations, but you make it work. So there is something that you must be doing right. And again, upstairs is irrelevant. So what I call my favorite location is specific actions. Number two is that the point of, I was trying to see if we can decouple innovation and entrepreneurship. Because I think these are two different animals. Okay? It's difficult to get an innovator who is also an entrepreneur. And we have seen that, we have heard that from professors here in UP. Someone says, let me just focus on R&D. If they give me a royalty for what I have done, good enough for me. But I am not built to be an entrepreneur. I cannot learn to be an entrepreneur. Okay? So that's the second one. The third one is that there are, I have about the flight of talent, Alvin. 15 years ago, Joel Marciano helped Nokia set up their innovation center here in TechnoHub. Okay. But soon after the pandemic, Nokia closed down. They had about 800 researchers, scientists already in that compound. But again, maybe global situations maybe force them to close that Manila Innovation Center. The same thing happened with the solar panel plant in your area, Tirso. I forgot the name. But I remember we worked together, we visited that plant because UP was doing what they call the Master of Engineering courses for their scientists and researchers. I think they had 800 engineers and people also that were enrolled in the Master of Engineering course, providing them with additional skills in terms of research. But again, that plant also closed. So I cannot make any correlation. I wouldn't do that. And that's why it's important that I think the sustainability is important, is critical. And again, as Dan Lachica said, we are mainly a labor adding organization in terms a country in terms of semiconductors. But then that's good enough because we are generating a lot of jobs. Now, the innovation, however, is the important thing. And this is where I think in our approach, we should collaborate with universities, I mean, with private companies, because I think this is, I mentioned this three chats before that, many of the breakthrough innovations are created by company R&D laboratories, not by Academe. Okay. So the important thing now, my point is that we look at this as a collaborative effort between Academe and industry, because in industry, they already have the researchers in their employ. What they need maybe is additional training in terms of new research, etc.
Yeah. Okay.
Because otherwise, if we just assume or we just hope that it is the university that will create it, I don't think it will ever advance.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think, Sir Tito, nice to meet you
Yes,
again.
Of course. I've been tracking your career, Tirso.
Inimana na tayo ng ating best friend, Jun Berba.
Oo nga eh.
So I'll invite you before, ayan, I invite you to Batangas State again, magkwentuhan tayo. Anyway, going to our points. No, first, upstairs, downstairs. We have to do things here within our sphere of influence, within our sphere of capability. We have to do things strategically. That's why I term my presentation as engineering a feasible innovation ecosystem. Yung iba kasi, they opted to say engineering an inclusive innovation ecosystem. Well, it's very sexy to hear inclusive, but you have to make it feasible first before it can become inclusive. You have to make it working first. Even innovation comes in different form. Meron deep tech innovation. We have to innovate even some sabihin natin, may mga high-polluting innovation dyan. Pero yung innovation, even social innovation. Kasi ang isang comment maybe that we can get out of the graphs that we presented, the innovation rank that we got doesn't show. It is not felt. What I mean is, siguro yung innovation, iba yung metrics, but iba yung nangyayari sa baba. We have to even encourage now even social innovation, mga products, simple products that can help increase the livelihood, that can help increase the quality of life. It may not be this tech, that's one. Now, I was saying that what is given to us, we have to strategize. A simple market analysis, a simple looking at the landscape of our region or of our LGU or our locality. We have to have simple environment scan. And with that gap, I think we can start. Kasi kung gusto natin ng massive, we cannot enjoin those guys upstairs. They might be busy doing other things. So that's my take on that. Second, the decoupling of R&D and entrepreneurship. Yes, I also believe there are guys who really are into research only. They are deep tech researchers, but I also learned that these deep tech researchers must know what's the need in the market validation, because at times the output of these researchers are really not functional, cannot run, no, when we test it outside. That's why now in the technopreneurship class that we're running, it's a team. One will assume a CA role, one will assume a finance role, one will assume a tech role. Maybe that R&D can be part of this team and play a different role. There must be a systems role, so that really the researchers will not be exactly decoupled to entrepreneurship. They must be somehow coupled, but doing still R&D part, just to get the product commercializable.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, the number of companies mentioned by Sir Tito that close, I don't know also the pressure why they close. Maybe they're pressured by the guys upstairs. Thank you.
Anyway, I think Tirso, no, Tito, for example, yun nga ang ano natin eh, talent development, no? Kung paano sila natin yun ang ecosystem, no? If we lose them in one, they should be able to transfer to another, di ba? Parang ganon. Kasi yung talent nga natin, hindi naman yan, dapat no, ang training natin is kaya nila lumipat ng one industry to the other. Sayang yung talent, sinasabi mo, Tito, ano?
Yep,
But,
yep.
meron yata tanong, si Tet nandyan na, Rio. Pag wala, looking at sabi pa upstairs, ano, Tirso, tanong ko ito sa iyo, no? Many of the initiatives, primarily in BATSU, no, definitely emanate from the leadership, from your leadership. Now, how soon are you going to stay as president of BATSU? Now, look, wala naman kayong control eh kung sino ang magiging next president, di ba?
Meron.
It's not necessarily, Tito, because this is decided by the Board of Regents of the SUCs. Sometimes, I know that very well, you know, you have your candidate, parang ganon, but not necessarily the choice. Now, ang tanong dito, Tirso, beyond your term as BATSU president, how do you ensure that your programa ng BATSU, yung KISS, yung infrastructure mo, yung ganon, will be fully sustained and fully utilized when you are no longer in that leadership role? What if you have a president who will become the president of BATSU, who is non-tech, who's political, who doesn't like your idea, who doesn't like those infrastructures? What do we do? That is our kasi it happens, and that's the reality, Tirso, di ba? You will only know that once you step down as BATSU president. Let us see. So now the question, how do you ensure you have a succession, but you are not a private university. You are a government institution. Private, kaya namin mag-succession. Alam namin kung sino gusto namin gawing next president. Kaya namin yon. Pero sa iyo, Tirso, I will tell you, even if you have a good candidate, it's possible na hindi siya.
Okay.
Now,
so I will answer the question.
Tirso, itong mga investments na natin,
okay.
Ang mga talents mo, baka naman sumama siya sa iyo.
Anyway, yeah.
Sumama sa iyo, iniwan yung BATSU. Diba?
To answer your question. First question, no?
Let's address that.
Yung unang tanong mo, hanggang kailan pa ako, ano?
Ay, oo, sige. Maganda rin yun.
Okay.
I hope
anyway, just for your information, I hope I discuss these things with you here in BATSU. First, actually, my term ended already in 2022. My term, just for everybody's information, the term of a SUC president is 4 years, one term, subject to one reappointment after the evaluation of your first term, another 4 years, so 8 years. Now, it ended already in 2022, but because Batangas State University was declared by law as the national university, it served us a new mandate. So we are now on our first year as first term, and subject to reappointment, God willing, for another term. So you are correct. The case may not be given attention by the new president. So now that we're still here, we will see to it that it will be completed before we leave. Now, we are, this is, I think, the apprehension of many. what if the term of the president ended? How will the succession come? So now at Batangas State, we have good guys here, but as you mentioned, hindi naman natin control. No? And sadyang ganyan ng buhay. No? There is no certainty.
Okay.
Sa lang bagay na certain, we are loved by the Lord. Yun lamang. Isang bagay na sigurado. But what I mean is, we will, as a leader, we should see to it that the next leader really will be the one who will continue. That is our engineering. We should engineer it that way. We should even re-engineer the minds of the next generation of leaders and those makers of leaders. Otherwise, if we cannot, that's a strategy. That's to me is a big strategy, but it can be done. It is not possible. The things that we are doing here at Batangas State University is not so new. It's not so rocketing. It's just to give a signal that things are possible. Things are not impossible. So many people can even do this even better than this or even bigger than this. But with the limitation of environment, with the limitation of business downstairs, we're able to see that things like this are possible. That's simply the message of what we're doing here.
Okay.
It's not impossible.
Alvin,
Thank you.
I am inspired by your young dynamic leader, Albert Amante, your Vice President for R&D, who brought us around and explained to us your different R&D and innovation centers and institutes. No? At this point, Alvin, let's call first Lito Bermudo. I know for one, is Tito and Alvin, magsasara talaga ang mga semicon pagka ang mahal ng kuryente discontinues and then hindi siya tapos maraming bureaucratic quagmires na dadaanan ang mga foreign companies kaya baka maaring doon nagsara. So we really have to invest also in the what I call the fundamental technologies in our country like energy and the metal-based industries, no. So before we read the other comments and questions and call out those in the chat box, Lito, will you please ask your question now? Thank you.
Tirso, a lot of congratulations for what you have done.
Salamat
and
po.
what you stand up for, and I can empathize with your challenges. I am an honorary Batangueño. I have stayed in Batangas for more than half of my working life. And I can assure everyone here that the graduates of BSU are very, very good. In my, I used to run AG&P, and I was president for about 15 years. And I recently ran the fabrication shop of EEI before retirement. And I must say that, to be honest, I almost exclusively recruit from BSU. So I have a very good team, and I think there's something about your graduates. I'm looking at your success stories. Masipag. They try harder. They try harder. And the reality is that as a Filipino company competing against overseas companies can actually win. No? We've done some world-class projects in Batangas. I can name many, but siguro at some future forum na lang. But what I can say is that I'm happy that you are training leaders. I'm happy that you are training industry-ready engineers. No? They're ready to be thrown aside. Maski, ang term ko nga doon, maski ibilad mo sa araw, hindi nagko-complain. Unfortunately, that is not true for the graduates of some other schools. Mine included. So again, no, ang question ko lang po is, I would like to maybe, this is not a question but a request, no? maybe we should have a session with UP Earthy, and maybe we can pick your mind, no, as to how we can help you with your projects and programs. No? We're not at all different in trying to make the Philippines more competitive. We're not at all different in making sure that our future engineers, the young engineers, will be rewarded, no, with better paying jobs, with more meaningful work in the Philippines. And that hopefully the degree and the level of engineering education in the Philippines can really be improved. No? I love Batangas, to be honest. No? And I would like to love the fact that you have a governor who's really a businessman. I can see that you have a very strong grasp of business. And like everything else in the world, it's all about business. No? You may have the best engineering school in the Philippines or in the world, pero kung wala kang business application and you're not economically relevant, then it's nothing. No? Magkape na lang tayo. Diba? So, pag-usapan ho natin yan, and I would be happy to invite you. And I'm sure Tito would second that motion.
Yes, sir. Very much so.
We will prepare very good Batangas coffee, President Tirso. Maraming salamat po.
Anyway, Sir Lito, salamat po for your nice compliments about Batangueños and Batangas, because you yourself is also a Batangueño to some extent. Now, I accept the invitation po. Actually, si Sir Tito, nag-usap na kami niyan long years pa. And the things that we are discussing now may be the results or fruits of what we have discussed before. But we would like to continue the discussion. The UP Engineering Foundation, I have been there already with Sir Tito, and we started the discussion. And I think you, Sir Lito and Sir Tito, I invite you here in Batangas. At dito tayo magkape at magkwentuhan tayo about the better shape of the future. Now, at times, I can also go to UP Engineering Foundation, and we have some discussion there. But my invitation is open. I'm here. And even our partners here, our listeners here, I invite you to Batangas State, and let's continue discussing the better shape of the future.
Okay.
So, Lito, una kong nakilala ito si Tirso, VPAA siya. Punta dyan sa UP Engineering.
Correct ka dyan.
Enterprise Center ni Luis Sison. Pero ang nangyari, yung BATSU, nagpa-accredit sa ABET. Katulong ang ating UP alum si Joe Cruz. Pero po yung UP Engineering natin sa Diliman, ayaw. Tinanggihan po yung aking sinabi na magpa-ABET o mag-Washington Accord. Kayo ang makaka-convince dyan sa UP Engineering ng Diliman na gawin na. Kasi yung UP Los Baños Engineering ginagagawin na. Para lang yung TIP ginawa na po. No? So malaki yung influence ninyo, Lito. I would also like to invite you to speak at this forum. Yung experience ninyo napaka-valuable.
Anyway, Doc Giselle, ang taga-UPLB Engineering, nag-benchmark na dito sa Batangas State. They've been
ganon. Yeah. Ganon.
They've been many times, UPLB.
So, yun na sila, na-realize na nila na that's the way to go. Bakit ba? Magpa-evaluate tayo sa mga international para yung standards natin ma-establish. Okay? So anyway, at this point, let's move on.
Let's hear from other universities who are here. Private university. URS, nasa na yung si Ted? Do you Ted? Like
URS is also SUC, hindi to private. University System.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, our friend from URS. Yeah.
Yes, po. Good morning po. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Go ahead.
First and foremost, congratulations, President Tirso, for the very kind sharing of what you have shared a while ago. Mine is just a statement that believing that SUCs all over the Philippines support the goal of the Philippine government to thrive and succeed in the name of developing innovation-driven economy, what could be BATSU's further initiative to enjoin other SUCs, not just in the region, toward functional and inclusive innovation entrepreneurial ecosystem? I have made this question for the reason that a long time ago, BATSU has been spearheading initiatives. But this time around that you talk about innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem, we would be very much interested to learn from you further initiative of BATSU. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doc Rio, for the very, I think, relevant question. we open our doors to all SUCs. In fact, we are hosting, I think, in recent months and 2 years ago, I think every week we have almost 1 or 2 SUC visitors, but hindi lang po SUCs. Even private ones are coming to Batangas, and we share what we have here. Now, on a broader scale, in PASO, we started that platform for innovating SUCs for Industry 4.0. It is a year in, year out program. It is not a one-time program. So we are, through this membership with NIC, we have already included in our pipeline to have more consultations with SUCs so that we can address all innovation barriers in all fronts. A series of discussions, series of consultations will be coming, and there will be sharing. In fact, in our PASOK annual convention, I think last August 9 to 11, we invited, or we even signed memorandum of agreement with DOST and with PESA and PASOK together to help our SUCs even establish their own technoparks. And we are willing. Batangas State University is willing and doing already sharing of what we are doing here. So there's a lot of sharing of good practices. I say good practices, if not best practices. And we learn from each other. Even Batangas State University is learning. There's no monopoly of learning here. And monopoly of talent. So we are doing that. So the 4 strands of PC that I presented a while ago is continuously being implemented and carried out by PASO. So yun po, announcement na ito, siguro in the months to come, there will be series of consultation. This is an input to our NIC. Kasi NIC as a policy making body needs more inputs from the ground. So as we represent Academe, I not only intend SUCs, but even private HCIs to give us the inputs on what we can suggest or recommend to the body of NSC. Thank you.
Okay, Alvin.
Yes.
At this point, tawagan na natin si our policy expert, former NCPAG Dean, Edna Ko. Meron po siyang 3 comments sa ating chat box. So siya po ang pwedeng mag-package ng ating mga policies, Tirso, coming from PASOK SUCs and also from PAASE. We will show you a form that we prepared for the PAASE, no? So Edna, please. And then afterwards, ito, Alvin, nandito si Carla. Gusto natin tawagin si Carla May Tanagon and then si Hil Mendoza. Okay? Marami. Talagang it has generated so much interest from all of us. Elmer Mojica also has. So yun yung sequence natin.
Edna, kasama natin sa Florida, sa PAASE.
Oo, of course. Pero Edna, alik ka na. Ikaw na.
Edna, go ahead. Andiyan pa ba si Edna? Okay, perhaps we can go to Carla. Tanagon. O, wala yata pa si Carla. How about Hil? Hil Mendoza, are you still there?
I think the question of Carla Tanagon, I think I answered. Carla Tanagon has a question in chat box, which I answered, I think, a while ago.
How about
Alvin, gusto mong unang basahin yung question ni Carla, tapos yung mga comments ni Edna, and then we will call Hil Mendoza. And then baka medyo kailangan na tayo mag-end. Kasi meron pang
Look, Alvin, 9:30 na. Sabi ko hanggang 9:30 lang tayo.
Oo, sige. Basahin mo na muna, Alvin, yung kay Carla. Gusto mo?
Tapos na yata, nasagot na niya.
How can we effectively formulate a university-based policy? Ngayon naman kay Edna, umpisahan natin. Yung kay Edna, ito, isn't there a middle ground between keeping our talents and learning globally to be able to contribute it to innovation back home? Second comment, public policy should incentivize a circular growth for our talents rather than keep them at home. Totoo po yan, brain flow. And then isa pa, upstairs, policies, yes, we need to discuss matters with higher level policy processes. Malaki ang magiging role ni Edna dito. Okay? And then ngayon na, panahon na para magsalita si Hil. Panghuli na siguro yung kay Hil. And we will now try to summarize, Alvin. And then we will...
Hil, nandyan pa ba si Hil? Okay, sige. Anyway, it's already 10 o'clock. I think we have already discussed a lot. Tirso has shared numerous, ideas on how not only BATSU, no, but the plan of PASO, I mean, state universities and colleges, how they level up, to respond to this country's efforts towards, an STI-driven, economy. I think BATSU is a really good model, exemplary, Tirso, that has to be replicated. Your leadership in PASOK, you have to share that to the other presidents. How did you do it? As you mentioned, it can be done. What you are trying to show is it can be done. Now, can it be done in every region? Can it be done in the entire country? And eventually, how do our universities collaborate and optimize our limited, talents so that we can keep them within the, innovation ecosystem? And I think BATSU has already demonstrated that, you have to start somewhere. And I think it's now showing results, but it has to be, magnified. And even more importantly, Tirso, is how do we, what mechanisms, do we have to measure later on and track the impact of this innovation, initiatives that we have in terms of, one, job creation, technology transfer, contributions to the local and national economy. There has to be a mechanism to track this. We have to have, to be able to, quantify for every peso that the government and the Filipino people put into our talent development, into our infrastructure, how much is really being, created in terms of the impact to the local and national economy. So we really are impressed, very much impressed, and we wish, BATSU and of course Tirso, if there's a law that can keep you, while you are still very, able and, probably pwede ka i-replicate, pwede ka ba another Tirso in every region, parang ganon. I think that would be great. But certainly, it is important that we develop talents and we keep them. As Giselle has been pointing out, what good is our infrastructure without the supraside, without the people, the human capital? And that's the most important that we need to take care of. Because technology goes fast, these buildings will become obsolete. The facilities will become obsolete when you do not have the people who can, keep it, always, updated and, productive. So I think, Giselle, do you have any closing statement?
I would like to say you're being very humble, Alvin, because you lead by example. What you did in DLSU for your many years, decades of influence and leadership in DLSU. And then now your successors like Raymond Tande are continuing your ascent to a leading research-intensive university, a private sector model. In the case of Tirso, maraming salamat. Mabuti na lang magkaroon ng parang exception. He has been at the helm of BATSU 8 years, and then now maybe likely another 8 years. Yun po yung continuity na hinahanap natin ng leadership na wala po sa UP or sa ibang universities. SUCs included, no? So anyways, at this point, we would like to thank everybody, and we would like to encourage our speaker and our leading discussants today, those who inputted, to please come together and craft a policy paper so that we can, at the EM level of the NIC, consider them. I would really encourage EDNACO to be part of this policy paper crafting. In the meantime, let us share with you our next, events. We just showed it. Elmer Mojica will talk to us about AI, including ChatGPT enabled learning, teaching and learning. And pati na po yung topics like how do we make use of MOOCs like Khan Academy materials that some of us have been using for a very long time. Yun po, no? So, ito po yung innovation naman sa teaching and learning on the ground. September 22 po yan. Meron tayong break September 15 kasi meron tayong ibang speaker on library science naman sa PAASE next Friday. Ang lead po natin dyan si Dr. Billy Cabellon, ating high-ranking member sa PAASE. Tapos po at the end of the month, ito naman po ay ground level innovation din sa ating livestock and poultry industry. Malaki yung input po nito. Successful startup na po ito. Si Dr. Homer Pantua, he was from Genentech. He gave up Genentech to form his company, BioAssets. Another model, okay, in the life sciences. So, Feb, can we please post this? So, ito po, on behalf of the EMs of the NIC, ito po yung prepare natin for PAASE. Meron po tayong sanang grant proposal, concept proposal kasi next year magkakaroon na ng regular call for innovation grants, pero on a revolving fund basis, ibig sabihin kailangan merong kaunting ROI, siguro may kaunting interest ang sisingilin dyan, no? Pangalawa, ito na yung ating paper, position paper on PAASE S&T innovation. This is much appreciated. Ito po yung sinasabi natin minsan ng policy papers, white paper, okay, position paper. Third po is this one. I think this will be formalized as something that our executive members will be in charge of, a technical working group on barriers to innovation and proposed solutions. Procurement is only one of them, as all of us know. Kaya ito po yung ating initiatives. We are all PAASE members here. Tirso, Rex, myself, we are 3 out of 7 are members of PAASE. Kaya pwede po nating i-pursue lahat ito bukod pa doon sa pasok. At this point, I first would like to thank our PAASE leadership, but most especially our PAASE point person, this wonder woman whom we know as Febre Escares. She helped us with all the materials today, including the new PAASE video. And so I'd like to thank Feb and request her now to take our group photos. At some point, at the highest point, we were 77. Our goal is by September 22, when Elmer Mojica speaks, we will be 100. And by the time Homer speaks, we will be 130, 170. Please invite everyone far and wide to join this group. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Photo
Thank you very much din po sa inyong lahat. Dr. Tirso.
Thank you, Tirso.
Kindly open your cameras po.
Okay.
Sige po.
Smile.
1, 2, 3, smile. Page 2 po. 1, 2, 3, smile. Last page po. 1, 2, 3, smile. Done na po.
Okay. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank
Have
you,
a great
everyone.
day. I want to greet the people, yung ating mga nakasama pati sa Kaohsiung, yung ating mga taga-MOU na mga universities, EVSU, nandito po si Faustito. Oy. Of course, Tet, no? Nakasama natin sila sa Kaohsiung. So, URS, EVSU, and then nadala na rin natin ang BPSU, Bataan Peninsula State, and CMU, ang ating mainstay, our PAASE stalwart, si Ann Villalobos, kasama po natin. And yung UPLB leaders din po. Kaya maraming salamat. Most recently, UP Diliman Innovation team ng College of Science and our leaders in UP Diliman Engineering were with us. We visited industrial parks and heavy industries, including metal industries centers. Kaya, ayun po, maraming salamat sa lahat. And till the next time, please join us for the the talk of the Chief Librarian of UP Manila next Friday. Also, on September 22, Friday, kay Elmer Mojica, taga PAASE University, New York po siya. Tuturuan niya tayo paano tayo mag-online, pati yung experimental teaching and learning. Paano magturo ng experiments online. And paano gumamit ng mga MOOCs at ng AI to help us be more efficient in our teaching and learning. Innovation po yan in teaching and learning. Maraming salamat po sa inyong
Thank
lahat.
you po.
Thank you, everyone. Tirso, thank you.
Ay, Dr. Alvin, we'll catch you here. Batangas tayo.
Congratulations.
All our SUCs, salamat din po.
Lito, thank you so much. Okay, we are on